everybody. Welcome inside Brew Brothers. We are live inside the row. Yeah, give it up. Coach Jeff Choate is with us. Wolfpack headed to the land of 10,000 lakes, a date in Big Ten country. It is a 12:30 Pacific time kickoff against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. We'll be live at 11:30 on 105.7 FM. Coach Choate, you guys are at the midway point, maybe a little bit past it, for your prep for Minnesota, and I understand that you would want to turn the page very quickly regarding the Georgia Southern effort, but I just wanted to touch on a couple of things about that game, and you and I were just discussing it before we hopped on the air here. When you look at that box score, that is a really circuitous route to the final score. Has the time elapsed allowed you to have any more insight or wisdom on that?
Well, I think it was last week we were talking about how stats are for losers.
Uh-huh.
And,
yeah, I thought about that.
And so I'm pretty sure that, Clay Helton's not talking about
right
1.6 yards a carry. They're just talking about the win.
Right.
And that's kind of what I mean. This is a great illustration of that, right? You can play really well in a lot of phases, but if you don't get the W, nobody cares. And so, clearly there was some progress made in some areas, but ultimately the penalties were especially the timing of the penalties, that sequence of back-to-back 15-yarders in the first half, and then a couple of holds that negated some explosive plays for us in the second half that really hurt us, and then obviously the turnover in the low red. And so that was kind of the tail of the tape, but I think, like I said, at the end of the day, there's only one stat that matters to me, and that's what the scoreboard says at the end of the game. And so until we get that squared away and start doing that consistently well, I'm going to be a little edgy.
That's good.
So
that's totally acceptable. But may I offer this thought on behalf of non-head coaches of the Wolfpack who ride along on every snap through 3 games, regardless of the result. You guys have been competitive to like the final snap or snaps of regulation, and that I feel comfortable speaking on behalf of everybody wearing the silver and blue. That has been a delightful change and something that we really appreciate, and I'm looking forward to hopefully another close, hard-fought game at Minnesota.
Yeah, I kind of think that's who we are. I think that's kind of our recipe right now is we've got to, do a good job as coaches of managing the game to get us into the fourth quarter. And ultimately, we'll have that breakthrough moment where we start to figure out how to understand the psychology of winning, overcome, not necessarily not overcome. That's not the word I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is to make the plays that make the game, not to make the mistake that makes the game. Make the play that makes the game. And, we're a couple plays away here or there from doing that, and maybe we would be further down the line. But I know this, when we get into Mountain West play and we get into those situations, I'm going to remind our guys every time we're in one, hey, we've been here before, man. Let's just relax and go do what we do. And so this is part of the growing process.
That was actually my next question, because I've heard from the very best coaches I've been around this concept of learning how to win. And I like it for 2 reasons. One, I believe in it, and you can see it with teams that understand, when the game is in the balance, how to perform, how to bring their maximum competitive greatness. But I also like it because it kind of flies in the face of the super quantitative sports people who would say that there's no such thing as the clutch, or there's no such thing as learning how to win. And I think I first heard this concept from Dennis Green many, many decades ago. I heard him speaking in an interview talking about learning how to win. Is it simply the act of not being overwhelmed in the moment of when the game is in the balance, or is it actually elevating when the game is in the balance?
Yeah, so I think there's both of those. I don't know that you have to elevate a whole lot. I think sometimes that does happen. You have great players that will just, kind of just thrive in that moment. But really what you got to do is you got to do what you're coached to do. That's the bottom line. Like when things get tough, when the emotions get high, when the game is on the line, you got to do what you're coached to do. You got to do the most basic, fundamental things really well, and that's what's going to lead to victory. And you talk about overcoming that fear of failure. And one of my favorite, and I'm actually going to show it to the team on Friday night, but one of my favorite illustrations of that is in Talladega Nights when Ricky Bobby's dad puts the cougar in the car and says he's got to overcome his fear. You know the one I'm talking about, John?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of right now we got a cougar in the car and we got to go kind of overcome our fear and hop in and drive.
I like a Talladega Nights
I thought you might.
coaching angle. That might be a career first. I mean, I know coaches show different movies or clips for motivation.
Yeah, well, I mean, I might be a little less conventional than
I like that.
But I do have a bone to pick with you.
Please.
Okay, I mean, does everybody agree that like he's worth at least 3 points on a home game? Right, at least that would have got us to overtime on Saturday. But instead, we're in England.
I know it won't happen again.
Crumpets and tea or whatever.
There were no crumpets consumed.
Okay,
no.
All right, just checking on you.
Yeah,
checking on you.
Yeah, I went to bed and you were up 14-7.
Yeah, well, what do you know? Yeah, you should have stayed up.
I should have. Yeah, frankly, I feel honestly I let the program down. It won't happen again.
That's
Coach.
right. We all bear responsibility. Own your role.
I will. All right, Baselite, our great friends at Baselite. Looking forward to watching the Pack play this year. Give Baselite a call for any of your concrete products needs. 775-358-1200. And the Ryder Home's next home game. So Nevada on the road this weekend at Minnesota. But a week from Saturday, September 21st, Eastern Washington is in. It is a noon kickoff.
Love it.
At Mackey Stadium, as God intended.
That's right.
College football at noon.
That's right.
Yeah. Ryder Home's home game. Get your tickets at mynevadatickets.com or call 775-348-PACK. So learning how to win, understanding that there will be a collective wisdom you can call on at some point when the game is in the balance. But that was not this Saturday. So how does a head coach navigate what has to be group disappointment, right? There could be a pessimism or just a less than ideal vibe within a group. How do you handle that?
Well, I think number one, you got to remember kids are really resilient. It's the coaches you got to worry about usually. And so I think that those kids play football. That's what they do. They have a way of processing things and getting over things a lot faster than we do. We kind of go into this depression, I think, for 24 hours. And I've always tried to, number one, I think we talked about our schedule a while ago, but like I don't like Sundays, and I never have. Win, lose, or draw, they're kind of long and arduous, and especially if you lose, you kind of got to relive this so many different times. And so I try to change our Sunday up, make it upbeat. We do Sunday night football with our rookies. It was funny because the vets had a kind of a light shakeout lift, and the rookies are down here kind of doing their Sunday scrimmage, and they're padded up and they're doing their thing. And once the vets got done, they came over, and AJ Bianco grabs the call sheet and calls it for the offense, and Drew wants to call the defense. And those guys, you could tell it was almost cool. Like a cleansing moment for them, where it's like, hey, we're just out here playing ball, doing our thing. And so I try to bring as much good energy and positive energy as I can on Sunday, after a loss, because I think that does matter. I think those guys got to understand, hey, look, our leaders, he's not in the tank. We don't have to be in the tank. Let's look towards the future. Let's go to the next challenge, and let's move forward.
How did you learn that as a leader, as a coach, about the day after and how your vibe is impactful?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I've been doing this a long time, and I've always tried, like when I was special teams coach, for example, I've always tried to like be the guy that was the thermostat. Just set the temperature in the room, high energy, that type of stuff, right? And so I feel like it's no different now as a head coach. I've got like whatever I bring into that room, that's what's going to resonate. That's what you're going to take out on the practice field. That's what's going to kind of simmer for the next 24 hours. And so, I know this about life, right? Positive people do not dwell on negative things. And if you find yourself doing that, you're probably going to repeat the negativity. So you got to be able to kind of wash that out of your system in a hurry and bring positive energy and show them that there's hope. And that doesn't mean lying about, like I said, stats are for losers. That doesn't mean lying to ourselves. It means, hey, these are the facts of what happened. This is what we've got to do to improve. And we've got a great challenge in front of us. I actually like the fact that we're playing Minnesota and not Eastern this week, because I think that they turn the film on and that gets their attention. And they know they're going to play a Big Ten opponent, and we don't have time to feel sorry for ourselves. We got to go.
Positive people do not dwell on negative things.
Yes, sir.
Did I hear that correctly? Positive people do not dwell on negative things. Sorry, that's worth. Just want to get that one committed to the record. Okay, let's take a quick timeout. We are live inside Brew Brothers at the Row. We'll be back with Coach Choate. It's the Wolfpack Coaches Show from Learfield. Welcome back. We are live inside Brew Brothers at the Row. This is the Wolfpack Coaches Show. He's Jeff Choate. Wolfpack taking on Minnesota of the Big Ten. It is a 2:30 kickoff in Minneapolis, 12:30 here in Northern Nevada. It will be on the Big Ten Network on television, and you can listen to the Hall of Famer Mike Edwards and me. 12:30 kickoff, 105.7 FM KOZZ. Shout out Eddie. Speaking of shout outs, Coach Choate, we have a murderer's row of people we need to shout out here.
Distinguished guests left and right.
Left and right.
Left and right. So start off with the Dean of our business school.
Yeah.
Dr. Greg Mosier, thank you for coming out again tonight.
Sir.
Appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
That's right. We're
Shout
talking
out.
about you.
That's right.
And Stephanie Rimp, our athletic director, is here this evening. And so thanks for being here, Stephanie. And a special guest for me.
Yeah.
My son, Jory Choate, who
shout out Jory.
Yeah, Jory played for me at Montana State University, and he's
welcome.
Going to join us on this Minnesota trip. And then one other shout out that is rare to have this guy here, but it's by happenstance, and so it's probably worth talking about.
Yep.
Our general manager, Jim Mastro's here tonight, but usually he would not be here.
Yeah.
But obviously with the Davis fires, he's been evacuated, and so I know that's impacted a lot of members of our community.
Yes.
Coach Mastro, Coach Green have had to evacuate, and so we just want everybody to know in Washoe County that especially on the south end of the county, how much we're thinking about them, and it's a tough time for folks, and we're just hopeful that the winds die down and we can start to get a handle on this, and really appreciative and grateful of the first responders that are doing such hard work on the front line.
That's very well said. Those of us in the West, those of us in the West understand this is an unfortunate annual event, and so send thoughts, prayers, good vibes, and here's hoping the wind does the right thing. And
that's right.
And thinking all the first responders, and of course you say first responders and you think about September 11th, and it's always quite sobering when this day comes up. It doesn't really fade how it feels.
No. Where were you?
It's in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually, Jory was a baby, and my wife and I she and I were both teaching school in North Idaho. And I can remember, like, when brushing my teeth, coming out of the shower, and Janet's like, "Oh my God, you got to!" And I mean, I'll never forget that. I think we all kind of have that moment. So. Yeah,
certainly one of those before and after moments in everybody's life who remembers it. We want to preview the Golden Gophers, but first I like to ask this every second segment. If you guys, you're probably on to me now. Coach, you can
kind of figure it out. I kind of know what you're going to ask the players when they come up later.
I got my tendencies, Charmy. How did Jeff Choate do against Georgia Southern? I obviously we're not talking about the result. I actually don't know how the coin toss went. I always give you credit. You lost the coin toss?
Yeah, we lost the coin toss.
Well,
but we didn't get to call it. You got to remember the visiting team gets to call it.
Good point.
I don't know. I wasn't very happy with myself. I felt like there were some things in terms of the calls at the end of the first half. Defensively, I think I could have done a better job helping Kane there, and obviously I didn't have the team ready to go from a discipline standpoint, so I'm not giving myself a passing grade based on that.
Let's talk about penalties and accountability. And you had said earlier in your news conference on Monday, and I think maybe
somebody does watch that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. I should probably temper what I say maybe more. I don't know.
I watch it. You discuss now anybody who receives unsportsmanlike or
UAS got to be an unsportsmanlike. Personal fouls don't count. I mean, face mask is a personal foul that can happen by a guy raising the face mask.
Right.
It's got to be unsportsmanlike conduct. Unsportsmanlike conduct, you're coming off the field, and that may be for a series. It may be for longer. But we're done with that. Like, personal agendas are exiting the organization in Nevada Wolfpack football, and so that's got to happen.
Tell me about, like, I understand you don't open camp with, all right, personal foul. Like, I guess you want to get your team to
you got to play with an edge,
right? You want to make sure your team is getting the edge.
Yeah.
So you had to kind of let them.
Yeah, you kind of let them go. You get like, all right, hey, let's figure this out. It's like brothers in the backyard, right? And then at some point, one of the brothers gets hit in the face and doesn't like it, and then it escalates, right? Well, okay, we got to calm down. We got to throw some water on this thing. And so right now that's what we got to do. And I think we can play a really physical, aggressive brand of football that makes our opponents uncomfortable without crossing the line. And that's who I want us to be. But if we cross the line, clearly there has to be some immediate and swift consequences.
All right, Minnesota. They're 1-1. They've only played home games. They lost to North Carolina in a close affair, and then they blew out FCS Rhode Island 48-0 last time out. So their third consecutive home game. And eighth-year head coach P.J. Fleck. He's had some success with the Golden Gophers.
Row the boat.
Yeah, that's all over their release this week.
Yeah, there you go.
Your thoughts?
It's kind of what you think you're going to get. You go into go play a Big Ten team, and they're going to have a huge physical offensive line, pounding running attack. They're going to take their shots vertically when they set it up off the run, so everything starts with the run. They're very ball control oriented. They want to shorten the game and get out of there with a win, and that's kind of who they are. Defensively, I'm really impressed with a couple of guys on their front. I think they've got a couple of active guys up front. 97 and 17 in particular stand out. Experienced, tough, smart inside linebackers, and then their star nickel, number 20, kind of a dynamic player. Not great in coverage, but really good blitzer and really good presence for them in the run game. And then number 5 is a guy that I think is, I apologize for always using numbers, but that's what you have in front of you. You can call him by name.
That's right.
And but he's a guy that I think can do a lot of things. He plays in the slot when they're in nickel or dime packages, and then he's kind of their lockdown corner. So I'm actually really impressed with their personnel on defense, and offensively they have an identity, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. We know what their identity is. Now we got to go stop it.
The quarterback, Max Brosmer, transfer from New Hampshire. So far having a good year, completing about 73% of his balls, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He was an FCS All-American and threw for 8,700 yards and 70 touchdowns at New Hampshire. That, of course, is Chip Kelly's old stomping ground. They have a great offensive tradition there. What do you got on 16 for the Golden Gophers?
Well, I would say this. He's not going to beat you with his legs. I mean, even schematically what they do, they don't have a lot of +1 run game. They're going to line up and give the ball to the running backs. That's what they do. But this guy was a special player at the FCS level, and he was kind of part of a wide-open offensive attack. And this is a very different stylistically than what he did at New Hampshire. And so I think it's probably been an adjustment for him to kind of play more a pro-style, ball control philosophy that Coach Fleck has. But you can see him starting to adapt to it, and obviously played a much better game week 2 against Rhode Island than he did week 1 against New Hampshire. But he's been, kind of the guy that I think a guy like Coach Fleck wants, in that he's not turning the ball over, he's taking what's available, that type of thing.
The close loss at home to North Carolina, 19-17, and then the blowout win against Rhode Island. How much good data or good film info can you get with a 48-0 win over a lower division opponent?
Yeah, well, they're going to play to win the game, and they're going to be who they are. Like I said, this is an outfit that the head coach has been there for almost a decade. They have a specific DNA to what they do, and so you see that, especially early in the game. Now once you get to 31-0, you can pretty much go, okay, hey, we'll watch it for personnel purposes, but having that information, the breakdown, that data in the breakdown doesn't necessarily help you. But I do think they've got to, especially offensively, they kind of, even though they've kind of gone in and out of coordinators during the time that Fleck's been there, it's kind of the same system. And so that's helpful from that perspective, that we can go back and look at that. Now, defensively, they do have a new coordinator who comes to Minnesota from Rutgers, Heatherman.
Yeah.
And he was a coordinator prior to his time at Rutgers at James Madison. And so you got to go back a little deeper on that side where, hey, let's watch some JMU film. What is this guy like as a play caller? All right, let's see what they did structurally at Rutgers. Okay, yeah, how much of that is in place now in week 1 and week 2 at Minnesota? So that part of it is a little bit more guesswork, but offensively I think they kind of are who they are.
There is that forensic kind of lightning quick plan you have to put together just to get to your scout team so that your offense knows what to look for.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Like you've got to approximate something close to what Minnesota is going to do pretty quickly. How quickly from the end of Saturday's game to when you guys are taking reps with the scout team. How do you conjure that up?
Yeah, that's a lot of the work that goes in on Sunday as we kind of get ready to get the scouting reports done and then kind of give them their first peek on Monday's practice. And so one of the things that happens is let's look at it from an offensive perspective, let's say. Okay, the first thing you're going, hey, what is the structure of this defense? They're 4 down. All right, there's, what percentage of split safety and post safety do they play? So that kind of gives you, hey, here's who they are up front, generally speaking, and then here's what they do in terms of coverage, right? Okay, now they're odd front base and they're more post safety, or they're split, they're even front based and they're more split safety. So that can give you just kind of the boom, that's the ballpark, right? And then that kind of helps us to get started, because we can say, hey, look, they're mostly post safety. They're going to play cover 1 or cover 3. They're 4 down, so we're going to play under and even. And there you go. Like, that's the nuts and bolts.
You've got a toolkit.
Yeah, exactly. And from there you go, okay, hey, because we run both even and odd fronts. Our guys know what 40 is, which is a 3-down look, and they know what even is, which is a 4-down look. And so that part of it's not that challenging. But then you buy yourself some more time to get deeper into the scattering report and say, okay, what are their favorite mixed down pressures? What are their third down pressures? What are their exotics? Those types of things. And that comes later in the week. So in the immediate, and the most immediate thing is, who are they? What is their front structure? What is their coverage structure?
Sure.
And what is their blitz percentage? And then boom, throw that out there, and then you start to dig in a little bit deeper as the week goes on.
What is their blitz percentage? Do you know off the top of your head?
What is their blitz percentage?
Yeah.
So on mixed downs, it's about 50%. Now, you got to remember when people talk about pressures.
That's a big number.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
And here's why I say that, because you're looking at what's called simulated pressure. So they bring the star, but they drop the boundary in.
Okay.
So it's calculated as a pressure, but it's still just 4 guys rushing.
So do you count that as a blitz?
You're gonna use that as a star pressure, but
Okay.
here's what.
I see what you mean. You're blocking the same number of guys, but
yeah.
it's coming from a different.
And so what you're looking is how many guys are they pushing at the quarterback? Is it a 4 down? Somehow, some way, is it 5? Is it 6? That type of deal. And so, but it's all going to be calculated as pressure. So like they may bring the corner from the boundary and drop the field in. They're still only bringing 4 guys.
Okay. Thanks for getting in the weeds with me. We don't the game moves fast.
Yeah.
So I don't have a lot of time to
so
chop
like,
it up with Mike about that.
I would say this, like the trends that I'm seeing right now, like everybody in America brings nickel, star, Sam, safety.
Sure.
So somebody from the field, right?
Yeah.
One guy from the field, or they bring the corner from the boundary. One of the trends that I'm seeing right now is you're seeing a lot more just safety pressure. So they're bringing the boundary safety or the field safety instead of bringing the star, the Sam, the nickel, or the corner. And so that's a little bit of a trend in college football right now. And it's harder to see those guys because, Mike can attest to this. Like, at the line of scrimmage, you're looking at safeties. Okay, you see rotation. All right, I think that they're going to bring the outside guy from the field or the boundary. Well, now you see rotation. It's actually the third level defender that's coming, and so that becomes a little bit more difficult in terms of protection pickups.
That's good stuff, Coach. Mike, you writing that down? Yeah. Guys, that's about as in-depth a breakdown as you're going to hear Coach get into, I think, anywhere in America. That's good stuff. Also makes me think about how hard a job the center has.
Oh, my God.
Because you're limited, right, in your vision, and you're looking at 3 different levels, and now you're talking about 2 guys coming from the boundary side, for example.
Yeah.
All right, we got to take a timeout because we got to get more coaches and players up here. Real quick, an MMS Events Unlimited mobile stage can elevate your concert, speaker, or special event. Book yours today. BiggestLittleStage.com. BiggestLittleStage.com. Rise above the rest. Our great friends at Camelot Party Rentals make it great so you can celebrate. Best selection of rental equipment for weddings and special events. Camelot Party Rentals, proud sponsor of the pack, and Bud Light, proud sponsor of the Wolf Pack. Bud Light is easy to drink and easy to enjoy. Nico Johnson, defensive end coach, joins us when we return. We are live at Brew Brothers Inside the Row. This is the Wolfpack Coaches Show from Learfield. Facebook Live feed. Sorry, Facebook Live. Sorry. Wolfpack fans, friends of the pack, new NIL collective providing support for Nevada athletes to contribute or just to learn more. Check out friendsofthepack.com. That's supported by Choate Cleaning and Restoration of Reno. Also, Shelter Insurance. Put shelter on your team for your insurance needs. You'll be glad you did. Find an agent near you. Shelterinsurance.com for a free insurance review. Okay, Nico Johnson, I want to ask about your journey in the game and how you came to the pack. But I was looking at your bio, and I just started to notice some coaches you've played for, and now you're a coach yourself. So Nick Saban was your college head football coach at a little school called Alabama.
Yes, sir.
And then in the NFL, you played for Andy Reid, Super Bowl champion, Tom Coughlin, Super Bowl champion, and Marvin Lewis, who's a very respected, long head coach, long-time head coach in Cincinnati. So if you like football, those are 4 pretty household names. I'll take your best stories in any order you feel is best.
I've been blessed to be a part of this game. This game has taught me a lot of life lessons that I try to apply to now my family, my daughter, my wife, and then the players that I coach at, wherever I am. I've been fortunate to play for Coach Saban and learn a lot of different things, whether it's about life and about the game itself. And so just having that opportunity to not only take advantage of education, but to be able to play at the highs of the highs of this game we call football, to be able to make a difference in my family's life, it's been unreal for me. And now to be able to coach and pass back the things, the good things and bad things that I've learned back to everybody that I'm around, it's a blessing to me.
You played at Alabama. You have coached at Texas. And this is rarefied air. First and foremost, I'm a college football fan. So can you contrast the 2 fan bases, the 2 cultures, the 2 game day experiences? I've never been to a game at Alabama. I've been to a game at Texas. I know it's pretty incredible.
It's both places are blue bloods of college football.
Yeah.
Different style fan bases, but achieving the same goal for each place. I've learned a lot at both places. Especially on the coaching side now. I learned a lot from Coach Choate, even though I didn't work directly with him. Just seeing him from a distance, seeing how he went about his business, and the other coaches that I was around. I learned a lot of good things that I add to my coaching toolbox, and then that I try to apply to my life as well. And so it was a little weird at first. I got some family members disown me because we end up going in to Tuscaloosa last year and winning that game. And so
sure, yeah.
It was a little weird for me. I didn't know to be mad or happy that we won. So, but it was fun.
Tell me how your path crossed with Jeff Choate.
Like I told you before, before I got to Texas, I was at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. And I was put in a really good situation. I wanted to make myself as valuable as possible. I've played inside linebacker, I've coached inside, I've coached outside and coached stars, but I felt like the one thing that was missing is being able to, coach D-line, interior D-line. And I had a chance to work with somebody at Texas really good at that, coaching those guys. And so that opportunity presented itself, and I just became a sponge when I got there. I was a GA there. I became a sponge, learning from everybody that I can, whether it was good or bad. And so I was just blessed to have that opportunity. And so I'm here with Coach Choate. He's blessed me with the opportunity to, let me grow, make my mistakes, and grow at the same time and enjoy what we're doing. And so it's been fun for me.
Coach Choate, we have noticed, those of us who've had the privilege of observing the Wolfpack over the seasons, a great leveling up in the play of the defensive front in 2024. How did you find Coach Johnson? How did you bring him here? How did you get him in the silver and blue?
Well, it was an interesting path because there was a handful of guys at Texas that I really wanted to try to bring with me, and initially it didn't all work out where I could bring everybody I wanted to bring. So Jacques Smith, who was originally here for about 4 weeks, something like that, and is now the edge coach for the Atlanta Falcons. And so when he took that job, I was like, okay, that's fine, but we might have gotten better by me calling this guy and seeing if he was interested in coming up to Reno. And I don't know, I just had a ton of respect for Nico. Players gravitated towards him. He's got he's a very accomplished football player, who clearly knows how to bring aggression and emotion to bear when the time is, when he needs to. But he's got a very calm demeanor, and he has almost, in this day and age, I don't think you find a lot of young coaches that really value the mentorship aspect of coaching the way that Nico does. And I have a ton of respect for that. That was something that drew me to him. I could see that, how he mentored guys within my room. And I even would push guys to him. I'm like, you need to talk to Nico. And so, just a guy that I knew that if we had the opportunity to bring him on board was going to bring a ton of value to our organization.
Where does that come from, Nico, mentoring?
Growing up, my mom, she was a diabetic. And so I saw how she struggled with her health, but she was always pushing on me to help somebody that was disabled or somebody was less than. And so I always prided myself on helping no matter what, no matter how I feel, no matter how my pride gets in the way. I saw her every day, take this disabled person from A to B because she was a public transportation driver. And to see her in that place just always been in the back of my mind that I just want to help. And in whatever shape that looks like, I just want to help. And then too, now that I'm coaching, I'll be a fool to not to be able to pass the lessons, good and bad, back to the guys that I'm coaching or the guys that I'm around every day, whether it's younger guys as younger coaches or the players on the team. I'll be a fool not to be able to pass those life lessons along and make sure they don't go down the same path in a bad way that I did. And, hey, you need to go down this path because it'll help you. This probably is a better result for you. It just comes from a place of just being selfless and getting out of myself and putting more into other people. Because at the end of the day, it's always going to come back around to you if you treat people how you want to be treated. And I know it sounds cliche, but that's what I pride myself on.
All right, let's go lightning round because I actually really just give me like one word describing those four coaches I mentioned that you've played for. Tom Coughlin.
So when Coach Coughlin, he
5 words, whatever.
I'm sorry, but
these are all fascinating coaches, right?
Word.
These are legendary coaches to a man.
So when I got to New York, I was starstruck. I've had the pleasure of playing for Andy and playing for Coach Saban, but this is a legendary Hall of Fame Super Bowl winning coach. And, when I got there, the team was kind of in, turmoil. It was just a bad year that year. But to, be around him and learn different things and learn life lessons and just have conversations with him, it made a huge difference in my life because at that point in my career, I was in a bad place. And just simply having conversations with him every day for 5-10 minutes, unbelievable is what I would say the word would be.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let's take a timeout because we'll get Henry Ikehihifo and Caden Johnson up here. But we'll continue this conversation. Give it up for Nico Johnson, everybody. We're live at Brew Brothers inside the Eldorado Wolfpack Coaches Show from Learfield. Welcome back. We are live at Brew Brothers inside the Eldorado. This is the Wolfpack Coaches Show. We have Nico Johnson, the defensive ends coach, and now we have Caden Johnson and Henry Ikehihifo with us. And we need to remind you that the game at home next Saturday at noon against Eastern Washington. That is the Extra Yards for Teachers game, awarding one Washoe County teacher $1,000 and one school $5,000. It's also the Vamos Pack game, the annual celebration of Hispanic and Latino heritage in Nevada and in the community. And it's Youth Football Day. So bring your team out to watch the Pack. That's a week from Saturday, the 21st against Eastern Washington. Okay. Henry Ikehihifo, I remember when you were a tight end. I'm old enough to remember when you were a tight end here. And Angus McClure was telling me about how excited he was to get somebody out of North LA County.
Yeah,
and,
that's crazy.
Yeah, no, like you've had a long journey. Explain briefly how you came to the Pack and how you came back to the Pack.
Oh, man. How I came to the Pack, coming out of high school, I had a lot of Division I offers.
Paraclete, shout out Paraclete.
Yeah,
right?
Paraclete High School is where I went. Not a lot of schools fit me like Nevada did. And I'll never forget when I first came on my official visit, how opening the community was for me and how welcoming they were to me. And, I did end up leaving, taking a JUCO route, but that was a little bit of a change of position plan for me. I wanted to play defense instead of being a tight end. I took the JUCO route, ended up getting a scholarship to Cal, went over there for a year, didn't really like the fit, entered the portal again, and, now I'm back here at Nevada. I just love how it stuck on me here and all the community, how supportive they were of me coming back, and I'm just happy to be back.
Caden, yeah, we're happy. We're happy to have you back. especially after last year trying to get you eligible. That was quite a journey. And, and certainly you can see the difference on the defensive line with you in there. Caden, how is your elbow?
Feeling pretty good right now. There's some bruising, some swelling, but overall feeling well. Making sure I'm getting treatment every day, in there early, grinding every day, trying to get back with the boys.
This is an important game for you.
Yes, sir.
You come from St. Paul,
yes,
Twin
sir.
Cities, so this is a return home for you.
Yes, sir.
What should Wolfpack fans know about Minnesota and the football community and what the environment's going to be like?
Oh, yeah, it's going to get rowdy over there. The Minnesota fans take their football team very serious. But I know the boys and the coaches are preparing the team well, and I'm just excited to be able to go back home, see my friends and family, and overall come back home with a W.
You've got a little experience now playing in the Big Ten.
Yes, sir.
Tell the people.
I originally came from the University of Wisconsin.
Sure.
Spent some time over there with Coach Chris, Coach Leonard. There's a lot of coaching changes over there, but I ended up coming over here to the Wolfpack. Coach Choate embraced me with open arms, and I just took it from there, and I'm very excited to be here.
The defensive line has leveled up considerably this year. Henry, you've obviously turned into a matchup problem. That was evident in the first game. And then, Caden, you had the game-winning defensive play on the two-point conversion stop at Troy. I mean, you guys have been right on the front line of everything so far this season. What's been your favorite moment, either of you, so far?
Go ahead, Han. You can start it off, baby.
My favorite moment is getting that feeling of winning again versus Troy. Getting that year taken away from me last year, and whole new coaching staff, and the brotherhood that we build in here at the University of Nevada. It's real. It's a brotherhood that can't be broken, and it's a brotherhood that's going to last forever. So I'm really excited, and I'm just happy to be here.
Henry hit it on the nose. Being able to win games is what it's all about. That's why you played this game. That Troy game was very special for me, being able to get that effort play, get that fumble out, come out with the win. That's what it's all about for me.
All right, now I'm going to have a little fun here. I work with an offensive lineman on the broadcast. Shout out Mike Edwards. I work with an O-lineman.
Yes, sir.
And so Mike would have me believe that defensive linemen are, at best, terrible people, and possibly. I'm just messing with you. No, but in all honesty, there is a perception, or maybe it's an old one, that to play defensive line, you just line up and smash into somebody. And Coach Johnson, I would love for you to just speak on how these guys have taken, how you're coaching the position, and what it takes to know how to play the position, defensive end in particular.
These guys, they work their butts off every day, and not just on the field, in the classroom as well. But I wanted guys to be more physical, to embrace that physicality, because like you said, it's over and over and over in those trenches, and you can't run away from it. And so these guys have took the bulls by the horn, and they embrace that challenge week in and week out, day in and day out, and I can't commend them enough by just doing that. Some things we've done that's made them uncomfortable. They've made it a strong suit for them both now. And they're just constantly working. They understand, both of these guys understand, they always got room for improvement. And so with that mindset, the sky's the limit for both of them. So I'm pleased where they're at now, and of course we can always get better in a lot of areas, but they've embraced the challenge that Coach Choate and Coach Kane has set on our side of the ball, and they've just ran with it. And they're constantly working. We just left a meeting to come here, so it's always worked for us, because we know in order to get this program to back where it once was, we got to embrace that challenge. And these guys are, part of, a group of guys that's leading that charge, and so I'm excited for them.
Give it up for the defensive ends, guys. Great job. Caden Johnson, Henry Hihifo, and Eagle Scout, and the coach, Nico Johnson. We'll take a timeout. We'll be back to Brew Brothers after this Wolfpack Coaches Show from Learfield. Welcome back inside Brew Brothers at the Row, inside the Eldorado. It's the Wolfpack Coaches Show. Happy to have you with us. Thanks to everybody who was up here earlier, Jeff Choate, Nico Johnson, Henry Hihifo, Caden Johnson. Somerset Golf and Country Club offers pristine playing conditions, the best greens in northern Nevada, and a relaxing clubhouse. Membership start at only $300 a month. SomersetGolfAndCountryClub.com. SomersetGolfAndCountryClub.com. Also, you can work part-time in the Nevada Air National Guard, serve close to home, and enjoy military benefits. That includes 100% tuition assistance, bonuses, low-cost health insurance, and more. Contact a local recruiter, Air National Guard, Nevada Air National Guard. Call 775-788-4544. Okay, you guys have your assignments. It is a 12:30 kickoff Pacific time for Nevada at Minnesota on Saturday. Mike Edwards and me will be on the air starting at 11:30 a.m. on 105.7 KOZZ. 11:30 airtime, 12:30 kickoff. First all-time meeting, Nevada against Minnesota. It'll be on the Big Ten Network, but you know, you can watch and mute and listen to Mike and me. We'll also be live on Facebook Live. Shout out to everybody watching and listening tonight on Facebook Live. Okay, thanks for being here. Another great crowd. You guys have been awesome. We'll talk to you Saturday morning from the land of 10,000 lakes. So long, everybody.